All right, I'm going to lead y'all through some poetry in my little makeshift at home classroom. Okay, I hope that y'all can see this as we go through. Okay, I'm gonna leave my stuff arranged this way so I know the parameters of which my sheet of paper should be in. All right, so this unit we're gonna be discussing poetry. Now, we're not doing poetry like an English major course because I don't know if any of you are actually English majors, and many of you might not ever go into reading poetry again, so you might think, why does this matter? Why am I going to need to know how to read poetry and have this information? Which I get that. So instead of going deep into figurative language and the types of poems and the differences in sonnets and iambic pentameter and all of that, instead I'm going to keep poetry relatable to each other, to people. Okay, poetry is the closest thing to other humans that we get. I mentioned before people like novels and characters and stuff, but really everyone is a poem. So I'm going to amend my original statement. Humans are not novels. Humans are poetry. There's no rules in poetry. No rules. Okay? It's an art form. There are many purposes to poetry. Many purposes. I wonder if you can see that. Oh, look at that. Let me pull it down a little bit. There you go. All right. There's no rules. It's an art form. Okay. People are like poetry because in poetry there's no narrator. We don't get anything additional. It's not required to give us exposition or a climax or rising action or falling action or denouement. We don't have to have any of that. It's just a moment. We know when we're talking to somebody, we're only getting the surface. We're only getting a finite amount of information. We don't really know what's really going on in their head. We don't really know why they're talking to us necessarily, or if their motive is as they say it is. There's so much mystery in people, and that's what we get from poetry. Okay, poetry is an art form. Poetry is not always about trying to convey an absolute standard idea in a clear and concise way. I mean, if you want that, read nonfiction. Okay, poetry is like abstract art. Okay, it is. It can be fragments. It can be hidden. It can all types of mysteries. But at the same time, though, it's also a puzzle, which is what makes it interesting. Think of that also. All right, it's a puzzle to be solved. All right. If you are a person who lives in a black and white world and likes absolute information and to know, well, then poetry is not for you. Okay, so in this unit, you're gonna be reading some poetry and you're gonna end up writing a paper analyzing some poetry, the best of your ability. All right. To me, interacting with children every day is like reading poetry. You don't really know what they're saying or why they're saying it. You have a guess. You're trying to interpret it. You're trying to figure it out. It's filled with tons and tons of symbolism, and it turns out none of that symbolism is correct. I mean, kids are an enigma, and that's poetry. All right? So what you want to do is you want to read a poem, question, why did the author give us the details that he or she gave us, and try to figure out the purpose of it. What's the purpose of this poem? What are we trying to get from this? Is this time and place? Are we just supposed to experience something? Is it a feeling? Is it knowledge? Is it an insight? What is it? And so we're going to be reusing a lot of poetry from a writer named Rennie Sparks. Okay. So this first one is called Stalled. So stalled, I know, means to stop, to halt. Now, when you read poetry, it's good to write on your paper. Okay? Make notes. These kind of your mental notes. Stalled, to stop. To halt. Falling snow spun above the road, winding through the dark woods, where my pickup stalled. Okay, so this is not a metaphor, this is literal. Car stopped. Falling snow, hissing through the air. Hissing through the air. Painting my windows white till the trees disappeared. Okay, so hissing at first is something bad. It's dangerous. A cat will hiss. Snakes, don't they hiss? It's dangerous. But then painting. Here we have some personification. The snow is painting. And painting, especially from an artist's perspective, and all poets are artists, this is decorating. Decorating. My window's white. And white is a color that tends to be seen as beautiful. I know some people might think white is boring, but in the context of the poem, I think that the writer is trying to create a beautiful scene, that this snow is decorating and is looking beautiful. At first, it's dangerous. Oh my God, look, my car has stopped in the dark woods. Dark. Darkness. Bad. All right, there's a negative connotation here. But then we get to the white, and white is good. And white is light. So it starts off dark and hissing. Ooh, danger, dark, hissing, danger. Ah! But then, though, we see, though, that the snow is not doing something bad. It's painting. It's not attacking. Things are hissing in the darkness might be attacking. But this is not attacking. It's painting. There's a change in perspective. At first, it's bad. But now, though, it's painting my windows white till the trees disappear. And even though I started to feel cold and I was far from town, I just sat there in the dark. So it's saying, look, even though there's all these things that should make me worried, I should be, my car has stopped. It's dark woods. Snow is falling. But now we question, why? Why did you sit there in the dark? And we must assume because it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Stalled. Sometimes when we stall, if you want to think about something, deep, theme is meaning. We have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of things to accomplish. I know I do. And when we stall, come to a stop. Oh no, we see that as a negative. We can't get our things accomplished. We can't move forward. We can't keep going. And things build up, and we start to see this. But what this writer is saying, though, is that even when we stop, and we might think that things are bad, dangerous possibly, We must observe the moment and realize that maybe it's a good thing we stopped. Maybe this is a moment for us to stop and to look and to take in the beauty of what's around us. Okay? So that could be our theme, our meaning to this poem. We definitely have a lot of negative, bad word, associative words, dark wood, stalled, hissing. But then it comes back with this painting and white, and it all disappeared. And even though it seems like I should be worried, I'm not. I just sat there. Okay, it was beautiful. So there you go. All right, I didn't use any type of crazy poetry jargon or terminology. Okay, I'm just showing you how to kind of work through the poems to make meaning of them and to kind of better understand them. Let's look at The Woman Downstairs, if you have it on your sheet. Chicago. Okay, we have a name of a place, so we know that this is important. Important. Chicago is where the woman downstairs starved herself to death last summer. Her boyfriend Ted ate hot dogs and wept with the gray rats out on the fire escape. Gray rats, death, okay? Even the idea of just eating hot dogs, okay? These are things that we should associate with Chicago, okay? The Windy City. In a thrift store chair, which is a cool way of saying, you know, like, I don't think things that come from thrift stores are dirty at all. I have things from thrift stores, okay? But in a poem, though, bits of information, details are important. Like, why that, okay? And so this could either say that we can assume, you know, we have this thought that a chair from the thrift store would be dirty and cheap, or meaning it's a chair now ready for the thrift store because it's dirty and kind of run down, okay? But it definitely has a feeling, a thrift store of low income. In a thrift store chair, I drank cases of beer and dreamed of laying down on the L tracks, which means suicide. I mean, I'm not laughing, but suicide. The trains roared by under smoke gray skies. Okay, this is a negative image of Chicago. Lake Michigan rose and fell like a bird. Windy, wind. And when the wind screamed up Ashland Avenue, the corner bars were full by noon, noontime drinking, and the old stew bums sliding down their stools, imagine because they are drunk, wasted, and ate boiled eggs and fed beer to the dogs. Okay. So this is a poem that's really, it's not about something. It all of this is building to discuss Chicago. And this writer has a very bad, ugly, negative association to Chicago. Okay, this is a this is a place poem, and the place here that's being discussed is Chicago. And this poem really is just written to not highlight Chicago, but to discuss his or her opinions of this bad place. You know, that while Chicago might be good for some people, this writer can only think of Chicago as a place of death and gray rats and poverty and suicide, negative imagery. The wind is screaming like a banshee. All right, something negative. up and down, and we got the drunks, all right, there by noon, starting up, okay? This paints a very gray picture of Chicago, and that's just the writer's opinion at the time. It's their feeling, you know? So, a car ride. A gentle rain bathes the windshield. Oh, gentle. Nice. This is a positive word. It's gentle. Okay? It's non-threatening. Back and forth, the wiper blades mark the minutes, and their steady, hypnotic rhythm. Whispers and giggles and squeals of delight fill every empty space in the back seat as the white and yellow lines zoom by. So this is children playing. Sounds of children. Children in the back seat. Once again, positive. A screech of tires grabbing the roadway. A world upside down. Metal ripping. Silence. See, this is art. This is art. See how the positive lines are full. Full, big. And then as the bad thing comes in, which we can tell is an accident, a wreck. Okay? The lines reduce. Reduce. This reduction could represent life. It reduces the lines, the heartbeats, the breath to silence. A gentle rain bathes the broken windshield. Back and forth, the wiper blades mark the minutes with their steady, hypnotic rhythm. Okay, so this poem is this is supposed to be sort of to create a reaction the audience. It's supposed to shock. Okay, positive, fun, good, unsuspecting, up, accident, death, silence. And then almost the same exact, okay, the beginning. So look, the same beginning. And what does this mean? Why do we end it the same way we begin it? What's that statement? Where we still have the rain bathing, and the back and forth blades and the minutes, and their steady hypnotic rhythm. That look. And it should remind us, okay, that objects do not care, nor have any feelings toward human life. Okay? All right. Don't get comfortable. This is very comfortable up here. Okay? But the rain, the windshield, the wiper blades, the car will not protect you because it likes you or because you have children laughing in the back seat. Okay? That even what might seem like a peaceful, nice, enjoyable moment, you can suddenly end in death because the world's a fair place. I mean, you know, no one in the eyes of nature and physics, all right, nobody's spared. Okay, So don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. All right. Next, we're going to look at last night. I went out walking. All right. So again, with these, we should just be focused on what do you take away from it. All right. When you're looking at your poems this week, at no point am I saying that you need to understand every type of figurative language. You need to understand all metaphors. Okay. You pick up what you can, what you understand. All right. Last night I went out walking by Brett Sparks, and what I'm really big on is theme, which we've been going, which I've kind of discussed before. I'm going over this. Theme is meaning. What's the meaning of the poem? Meaning, okay. Stalled, meaning, even when things are bad, or might seem dangerous, okay, they're actually kind of beautiful. Woman downstairs. This is more of a criticism on the place. It's creating a very negative perspective of Chicago. The car ride poem is that this idea that don't get comfortable, all right, because life does not care about your life, the real world, the way things work, so you can never let your guard down. Last night, I went out walking. This is the last one that we're going to do until the Raven, which I'm going to discuss in a moment. So here we have, last night I went out walking, out on the edge of town. Not going no place special, only wandering around. I came upon a river, and I thought about what you said. Okay, this should be important. And couldn't stop it flowing and running through my head. You said that I've been changing, and never seemed to laugh. Okay. So what I imagine that means is depression. But I can't recall the last time you smiled, and it's tearing me in half. So what the speaker is saying is that, we'll just say his depression, which is here, is having a negative effect on his partner. Okay? That he's been changing, he never seems to laugh. But I can't recall the last time you smiled, and it's tearing me in half. Okay? I want to run and tell you the thoughts that are in my head, but I don't think that you'd believe a single word I said. And I mean, maybe this is, I want to say things like, I love you. You are my, I don't know, only happiness. But maybe the partner will not believe him because he hasn't been showing any of that. The river's water runs so cool. It calms my burning skin. It takes away my aching thoughts and cleanses all of my sin. So let it flow on, take me down to sleep, that quiet sleep, and roll my body back to you, my love, you may always keep. All right, so that quiet sleep, this could be death. Maybe this is suicide, okay? Or I think to go deeper than that, go further than that, this could be killing his depressed self. Maybe he's saying, okay, I didn't realize I was being depressed for this past however long. I didn't realize the kind of, how my behavior or my feelings were affecting my partner. So I'm going to kill that side of myself. And, you know, maybe this is, you know, him, you know, change, rebirth. Okay. He is going to be different. All right. And he's going to come back. And instead of telling his partner all of things that are in his head, he's going to show with this new life, this new sense. Okay. Went out, clear his head, decides, I want to be different. I want to change. I'll be better. I'm going to come back. Or he kills himself. I mean, you go about it. You decide what you think. You know, you pick your interpretation. All right. But to me, that I just read this more as in less as an actual suicide, but more about killing the old self and being back to a good place. All right. So I purposely did not try to use a lot of terminology in understanding these poems, okay? Because I really want you to focus on reading the poems, making sense of the poems in a way that just a normal person, a non-English major, would get it, okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to start reading The Raven, all right? You are going to read The Raven and work through it, and you have an assignment to do over it, okay? I thought that what I would do is, let's see, I'm gonna pull up the assignment just so I can poetry. All right. All right. For the question for the Raven, I recommend you going over discussing the one, what exactly happens in the Raven, and how does the plot unfold? How do we chart the speaker's transformation over the course of the poem? To me, I think that's the most accessible question that you should go over. All right, I'm gonna begin. I'm gonna read some of this to you, and then you read the rest of it on your own. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. Okay, so volume is a book. A book. Lore is like legends, scary stories. All right, midnight dreary. So it's a dark night. So one dark night. Okay, well, I was reading a book on, scary stories. While I nodded, nearly napping. Okay, he's dozing off. I do that all the time. Suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was the bleak December, so it's cold. And each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Ember is fireplace. Okay, and now we get some words like dying and ghost and, the December. So this is a very dark mood of the story. Upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my book Circase of Sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore. Okay, so he wished it was the next day, morrow. Okay. And who? The lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden, woman, whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Nameless, okay, angels, sorrow, sadness, Lenore. Lenore died. Very sad. and the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating in trance at my chamber door? Some late visitor entreating in trance at my chamber door? This it is, and nothing more. This is what it is." Presently, my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer, so we got braver. "Sir," said I, or "Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is, I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Strange. No one was there. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. So sorry to get scared. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word. "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word. "Lenore!" Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. So more knocking. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what there it is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, nothing more." All right, more knocking, but now at the window. All right, you can keep going on your own. So look, read it out loud. Pause when you come across punctuation. Think about the lines. Remember that a lot of this is like music. All right, there's a lot of the language is added to create a pleasant sound to it. Okay, so focus on the words that you understand. Write down the plot about what's happening, understanding what's going on throughout the poem. Okay, so try that as we go through this. I will go over the next essay on Monday. Alrighty. Good luck with the Raven assignment, and I'll talk to y'all later.